Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Leah, and in this video I'm joining up with some of my friends for the CRAFTILICIOUS collab. CEEJ has given us full reign to do whatever type video that we want here. I'll be making some faux caramel and candied apples for fall, and a little something wicked for Halloween. First thing you're going to need for your candied apple, of course, is an apple. These come from Amazon, but you can find them at any of your craft stores. And I'm going to pull that stem out, and I'll be adding a craft stick, popsicle stick. You can use dowels, whatever you like. This to me was just more authentic, something that you would make at home. I'm going to put a little bit of glue. This is my low temp glue. Put just a little bit on each side of that so the stick doesn't pull out, because I'm going to be using this stick to paint my apples. It'll make it much easier. And I've put down a bit of wax paper just in case it gets messy, but it's not going to be real messy compared to some of the other faux candied apples that I've seen. Now I'm going to be using the Waverly chalk paint in the color Lacquer. To me, it was a good candy apple color. Bright red with a little hint of pink in there. I'm going to give myself a line per se that I'm going to go by, because candy apples usually aren't painted all the way up. They're usually dipped. And now that I've got that line, I'm just going to start pulling the paint down toward the bottom of the apple. And this is going to need 2 coats of the lacquer paint. This is how it's looking after 1 coat. And you don't need to paint all the way across the bottom unless you've got guests coming over that's going to pick up your apples and look at them. It's very unnecessary. That's just 1 coat. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I've put my paintbrush in just a little small snack size plastic bag so I don't have to keep washing it over and over. And I'm going to leave that right there, and it'll still be wet when I need to put the second coat on. Our apple's almost dry, and you can see how it's streaky in places. That's why we're going to do the second coat. Now the second coat's nice and dry, but as you can see, it's very dull, as chalk paint will be. So what I'm going to do is add on top of that some gloss ModPodge. And I'm going to do what I call a good coat, kind of a heavy coat of this on top. Just like so. I made 2 apples and they're just about dry. I wanted to check and see if there was any difference if I added another coat of Mod Podge, and really I don't see any. This one has 2 coats of the gloss Mod Podge. This one just has 1. They're equally shiny, so you don't have to do 2 of those. And what I'm going to do is add a little bow I've made to each apple. I couldn't find anything in my stash that was a fall print with some of that red in there, so this is some from Dollar Tree. I bought it last year and never had any reason to use it. This is Camping Trip. It's got a little bit of red and a little bit of green there. I'm going to use my low temp gun and attach those. I'll go about 1/3 of the way up there. And add that little bow. Oopsie. Just like that. Very cute. Now I'm also going to add some twine, but I don't need to glue that on because it's going to be kind of wrapped around the bow that I added. And this is just some baker's twine from Dollar Tree, I believe. I'm going to wrap that around like so. And tie myself a little bow with that. Made a loose knot so it didn't mess up my tails on my ribbon bow. And then just like that, we are finished. And there are my lovely, delicious looking candied apples. What do you think? Now for the caramel apples, I'm going to have to do a custom color. I'm mixing up Golden Sunset with Territorial Beige. Now, Apple Barrel does make a color called caramel, but I don't have any of that. And I'm trying to use what I have at home. So let's see how that works. And I'm mixing about a 1-to-1 ratio for these. I think it still needs a little more yellow in there. A little more of this Golden Sunset. And keep in mind that your paint will dry darker. And I think that will be just fine. That looks pretty much like a caramel apple, doesn't it? So here we go. We're going to start painting these. And I'm doing 2 of these as well. Same as before, except this may take more paint than the other because I used chalk paint in the lacquer color on those candied apples. This is just a regular acrylic matte paint. Doesn't cover quite as well. So we'll see after the first coat dries. I'll go in with a second and possibly a third. We will see about that. This is the result of 1 coat. As expected, it's going to need at least 2, possibly 3. I'm going to go ahead and start putting that second coat on. The 2 coats of paint worked out just fine. So now I'm going to start ModPodging those like I did with the candy apples. And again, just a good kind of heavy coat. Now my caramel apples are done. Don't those look yummy? I'm going to put some ribbon on those too. And I've got a couple of these little pre-made bows that I took off of a different craft from last year. I just had it tied together with a little piece of twine. Now let's see what I can do here. Okay, it's got a little bit of glue on there, so hopefully that doesn't give me any problems. I'm going to turn this into 2 if I can. So let's cut that. Go ahead and get my slant for the bottom. And that will cut that old hot glue off. This one doesn't have it. Actually, I'm going to go this way. Let those tails go straight across like that. And I'll just pinch that up in the middle. I'm going to put this around the center. And twist that. And there's a cute little sunflower bow for those. And so I'll glue that down just as I did before. Put the little bow on there, and then I'm going to go around it with some twine as well, and I've got yellow for that. Tie that around the bow. And there are my beautiful caramel apples. I'm so happy with how this turned out. The color was just perfect by mixing those two together. These next apples will undoubtedly be messy because I'm going to make some gourmet apples. I started with the caramel apple just like I did the other ones before, but I'm going to add some white and brown paint to look like white chocolate and dark chocolate. I think I'll start with the brown. And I'm just going to go like you would if you were drizzling chocolate over the top. Just zigzag across. Just like that. And I'm going to go in the other direction with the white. But I'm going to let this dry for just a little bit. Otherwise, it will be, well, if they mix together, it'll look muddy. Now that that's set for about an hour, I'm going to go over the top of that with this white. And I should mention this is Tulip brand puffy paint. The other is called Slick, but it's a dimensional paint as well. White and brown, just basic white, basic brown. So, give it a shake down to the tip. And just zigzag over that like I did the brown. Let's do one more round of that brown on there. Kind of layer it up. That should be good. And since I've got so many different colors going on with that, I've got color of the apple, color of the caramel, 2 colors of chocolate. I'm going to go with just a solid ribbon with that. Naturally, I'm going to want that to dry before I put the ribbon on, so I'm just going to scoop that over here while I make a little bow with this. This is Dollar Tree lace ribbon. I thought that would be sweet on there. I'm going to cut it about, let's see, cut it about yay long. I'm going to angle those ends. And then I'll cross them over. Just, let's see, I think I want to go the other way with this one. Yeah, I'm going to go this way with this bow. Cross those ends over. And then pinch everything in the middle. And I'll use another piece of that wire to wrap around. Give it a little twist in the back. Dainty little bow. And look how cute this turned out. You may have caught a glimpse of this junk jewelry of mine in the last DIY. I've pulled out all the pieces that have a wood look to them. What I want to do is mimic chopped peanuts or chopped pecans. And like I said, this is junk jewelry. I don't use it for anything. Why not put it in my crafts? So I'm going to go for the lighter pieces. They sort of resemble chopped nuts. I'll put those little ones back in the bag, the dark ones. You never know what I could use them for. Yeah, I'm just going to pick out the darkest ones. And I'll be crafting up a nutty look on this next apple. Now I've taken apart both necklaces and got out the lightest colors that I found. I would like to have had more of this light tan color to look like peanuts, but that's okay. I'm going to make it work. I didn't have to buy anything. Top will stay as it is. I'm going to put some of this cheap praying paint from Dollar Tree. Put that on the bottom like milk chocolate. And then sprinkle the faux nuts on there. Now I'm going pretty heavy. I mean more than heavy with this paint, because that's going to act as the adhesive for my faux nuts, the beads, to stick to. Let's see if they stick. So far so good. Nope, I'll need a little more paint there. You know, it really wasn't that messy. I mean, there's just a little paint that got on the paper that I put underneath it. Before I show you the apple, how it turned out, which by the way, it is totally adorable. I'm going to get into some of this ribbon. I don't like that it's wide, but what I'm going to do, since it's got kind of a busy pattern on there, I'm going to cut it in half. And this is wired ribbon. I'm going to cut a pretty good amount. And I'll trim down the middle as best as I can. And I know it's not going to be totally even, but once I make it into a bow, it'll be just fine. Okay, let's put a slant on those ends. And we're going to crisscross them like so and bunch them up just like that for a sweet little bow. Oh, now that's so cute. Since it's wired, I can kind of fluff out the little loops on there just a tad. Oh, that's adorable. Okay, you ready to see the apple? Yeah, I'm excited. It looks so good. Check it out. I love it. And at a distance, you can't tell that's not nuts. It looks like a real candy or caramel apple. Looks like a real caramel apple with real nuts. So I'm going to get this bow glued on there, and that one is done. And there's my nutty chocolate caramel apple. I'm so glad I thought about those beads. I think they did just great on there. My last two apples are Halloween decor. So if you need to click off of here because you don't believe in Halloween, that's perfectly all right. But before doing so, would you please let me know in the comments which fall apple was your favorite? Now let's get into the Halloween DIYs. I went outside and got that dried stick from the holly bush we've got out front. And I nicked my finger too. I just did that. I'm going to stick that in there. I want it to look creepy. I would like to have had a gnarly limb, but they were all straight. Everything that I could get to. So we'll go with that. We'll use that. Now on this one, I'm using the color ink Waverly chalk paint. This poison apple is going to be very dark. I'm going to paint it the same as I did the candy apples and caramel apples. And I will put 2 coats of this paint on there. I'm going to take a Posca paint marker and attempt a skull and crossbones on here. Let's see which side I just think looks the best. I think this one, because you see the scrappiness of the stem more. So here goes nothing. I need eyes. A nose. Well, let's draw the cranium. I'm not sure how to do the bottom of it. Something like that, squared off, maybe. It's not horrible. Not too terrible. I'll just color inside those areas. And I failed to mention to you that I also did the gloss ModPodge on top of the black on this apple. I'll make him a jolly little skull. And for the crossbones, let's see. I know they need to X over. Now I'm going to put some ribbon on there. I'm going to use this black and white ribbon. Black and white polka dots. Even though it's a poison apple, it's still kind of cute. So I'm going to make me a little bow like I've done on those other apples. And there is how my not so spooky poisonous apple turned out. This last apple, I'm attempting the poison apple from Snow White. So I'm going to leave the stem on there for this one. And I'm going to paint with flag red. Hopefully I can get it in one coat, because it's going to be a little streaky anyway. I'll just have to see after that coat's on, see what I think about it, because a natural apple really is kind of streaked. This one's got a really bad spot on it from the factory. Hopefully I can get that to the back. And I need to go all the way up to the stem with this. In hindsight, I guess I should have pulled that stem out and put a stick in. Then I could have replaced it when I got finished. But I'm already rocking it now. And I'm determined to finish it just like I started it. And I only used one coat of paint of the red. It was quite unnecessary for me to paint the top of that, because I'm going to be painting green. The green ghoulish face on there. But anyway, what's done's done. I'm going to, let's see, do I want to use that? No, I think I'll just go over here. I'm going to use the green puffy paint, and I'm going to outline the areas, the eyes and the nose. Let's give it something like that. And there's two little narrow spaces there. Right together. I'm speeding this up a little bit because it was kind of a process trying to figure out where I wanted to put the face on there. And I just kind of outlined it where I had the eyes and the nose openings. And then I started making some little squiggles where I wanted the paint to be running down. And then once I had a shape of what I was going for with the face part, I filled in inside all those other areas. And then I took a small paintbrush and moved around some of the paint so I wouldn't have to use so much. And then I also took a clean paintbrush and kind of made those eyes bigger again, because they started kind of closing up on me a little bit. Then after I had the face part the way I wanted it, I just went around the rest of the apple on the top, making some lines that would be more of that green running down, dripping down. And I used my paintbrush again just to kind of stretch out the paint and move that around again like I did before. And that is my creepy Snow White poisoned apple. Here's a final look of all 8 apples that I've done today. Did you have a favorite? Please be sure to check out the playlist to see what the other creators have come up with for this collab. And thank you, CEEJ, for putting this together for us. Until next time, bye-bye.